What can we learn from Taehyung's first speech? The other week, Taehyung of BTS appeared at a Dodgers baseball game where he plays the first pitch. The first pitch is a act where a celebrity goes to a baseball game and in a ceremonial way throws the first pitch. That's a way to promote baseball and also a way to get exposure to the baseball fan base. What you can learn is something very surprising and that will help you in your everyday life and is something that personally I will be implementing from now on. Hello everyone, my name is Frenetica. If you like this video, it means the world to me. It helps with the algorithm if you like and you leave a comment. Lesson number 1. Stay curious. Interact with that is not familiar to you. This baseball game created a moment in time where different niches, entirely different niches, interacted with each other. As he threw the pitch, everyone was surprised by how good he was. The catcher, the sports commentators thought that it was an amazing pitch. They said, sign him up.
And he dotted up a strike, man.
Well,
Dotted
good for
up a
him.
strike. Good for him.
And this interaction was curious to me because on an era of the algorithm, where the algorithm wants to keep your attention the longest time possible at whatever platform you are, the algorithm has evolved to be hyper specific and hyper niche. So it is entirely possible, as it was for me, to never have heard of someone that is incredibly massive. For example, I didn't know who Mr. Beast was until like 6 months ago. And apparently he is the biggest YouTuber ever. So the algorithm is great to develop our interest because it keeps showing you things, but at the same time, it creates this sort of circle around you where you are able to move through life without knowing other people's experiences. It created this beautiful interaction between armies and the baseball fandom. It ultimately exposed BTS to a broader audience. This is something that, if it's not allowed to happen, I think inevitably the platforms will degrade themselves because we will get tired of what we like. There's only so much we can like something until we get tired. So encouraging this cross interaction between niches should be the norm. This was a way for Big Hit to broaden their audience for BTS. Since the algorithm has niched us down so much, it is really difficult for new artists and other artists, even old artists and established artists like BTS, to find new audiences, even if they deserve them, like BTS. New artists and new celebrities and public personas need to start cross-leaping in this way to find a broader audience. Lesson number 2. Build networks of help. You never know when you might need them. This was a great exercise in creating networks of help. I also thought that it was a strategy for Big Hit to start making more contacts with venues that are able to gather a large group of people, over 50,000 people, and in the future maybe hold concerts there. The Dodgers Stadium is a place where they could hold concerts, but it's also very importantly a place that it's not owned by Live Nation. So my thinking is that in the future, if Weavers were to be a primary place where they do ticketing for concerts, and this is like a strategy to bypass the monopoly that Live Nation and Ticketmaster has, they would have to find new venues because the majority of the venues where artists the size of BTS can hold concerts at is monopolized by Live Nation. And before you tell me anything, I do really dislike Weavers. I have made a whole video about it. I didn't even cover a half of the things that I dislike about Weavers. I'm just thinking out loud that they are trying to use Weavers as a ticketing platform. In the future, they can leverage it in order to bypass the Live Nation monopoly. This does not mean that I like Weavers. I really, really do not like Weavers at all. And you can watch that video here. So not only interacting with baseball fans in order to get a wider audience, maybe a male audience, maybe a female audience that hasn't gotten to know BTS for whatever case. But in another way, it was a good exercise in networking to first show the power of ARMY to the owners of the stadium and how they can fill the stadium out, but also create business partnerships that are not reliant in current Live Nation monopolies. So this is something that I'm excited. This is completely, ¿cómo se dice? This is completely a speculation on my part.
Lesson number 3. BTS is humble enough to practice.
The main part that I want you to learn is this was only able to happen. Can you hear that? This was only able to happen because Taehyung proved that he could throw a stellar first pitch. And he was so good at it that other people got involved and wanted to know more. And this is something that BTS has to do. Since their inception, they have not been able to rely on legacy. They were not able to rely on networks that were previously held, nor were they able to rely on monopolies that they had no access. Because they were coming from such a small company, they had to rely on themselves and their good talent and practice and work ethic. So eventually, they were able to become the people they are today. What surprised everyone about Taehyung's pitch is that he did it amazingly. The commentator said, well, we've been seeing him practice for about 15 minutes.
He's been on the field for 30 minutes.
He's been out here practicing every 13 seconds. We got the crowd going nuts.
This is the part that you can learn from them. BTS is, yes, they are incredibly talented. They are incredibly artistic and ingenious. We cannot take those away from them. But at the same time, their work ethic and their sense of practice is what contributed to their success. If we compare his speech, Taehyung's speech, to a very funny one, which was 50 Cent's speech, 50 Cent didn't need to prove his place in an American culture. So he didn't need to practice throwing a ball. And when he did, he threw a very weird, very funny ball.
And his first pitch was not great. Just a bit outside.
And that was okay. It didn't hurt his brand because he is a rapper and that was not his thing. He already had the recognition from a baseball audience. But this time, even though Taehyung and BTS are such massive fandoms, and even though ARMY went there to support them, they still needed to prove themselves because there were a million of people that didn't know him precisely because the algorithm keeps us away from things that are not in our interests, even if those are extremely popular, like it happened to me where I didn't know about Mr. Beast. So that is also happening to a lot of people who don't know BTS because the algorithm has kept them away from BTS. He needed to go there and prove himself as someone who is good so that this cross-networking audience would pay attention to him. But this is something that I want you to notice that is central to BTS's performance. They always practice. They never take anything for granted. Not even today, where they are massive, massive artists, where they could truly retire and live rich and healthy lives and have generations of family wealth to come. They still practice. They are humble enough to practice. They practice, they practice, they practice, they practice. So when the time came that Taehyung needed to take the stage and throw a ball, he had practiced enough that he threw a perfect pitch. Of course, he has been working on his muscle and his strength. I've been joking around that BTS had turned into like the "Do you even lift, bro?" line.
Strong man. Oh, honey, but a wrong man.
So he had the skills, and we know BTS is athletic because their job is to be athletic. And we know that they wouldn't fall under pressure, and that was a very high pressure environment because their own line of work is a high pressure environment and they need to perform, and they have shown how to perform. But his main talent is not throwing a ball. Yet he practiced so much, he built on the strengths he already had that he was able to perform. And this is something that I need to remind myself because I keep thinking, I don't have the talent. I don't have the ability. I don't have the connections. I'm not a good networker. I'm really bad at meeting new people. And no, I have too much. I'm an extrovert, but I have social anxiety. So, oh, thank you. Gracias. So, I think it's important to reinforce how much commitment they have to their life so that they are able to practice and stay humble. They stay humble and therefore they don't think that they can do anything. Rather, they practice and they know that they will be bad at first, but if they practice more, they will get better. This is something that I think we need to talk more about BTS. For example, J-Hope did not enter Big Hit knowing how to rap. He was a great dancer, yet he was humble enough to listen to RM, to Yoongi, and the other trainees that did not debut with them and practice rapping. They committed themselves to be humble enough to say, I don't know this, so I'm going to learn, even to this day. And now Hobby has become one of the best rappers ever in the world. This is something that I'm going to take to heart and learn it in everything that I do. Even if I think I'm good at something, I'm going to be humble and say, I'm not good enough. No, it's not that. Here's the thing, this is the difference. It's not that they say that they're not good enough. It's that they say, I can do better. I can learn more. I can be better. And therefore they practice and practice and practice. They don't have anything for granted. Yeah, this is something that I'm going to take to heart. What do you think? Does it help you know that you can practice and get as good as something as BTS has? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like this video. It means the world to me. It helps with the algorithm if you like. And you leave a comment just for the algorithm. And until next time, remember to be excellent to one another. Bye.